Right. I'm really sorry, guys. Um, Needed to clear my throat and all before the stream. Yep. Thank you guys for joining the stream. I hope you guys are doing well. I am going with the most boring free hit in the world. Do I think it's good? Absolutely, I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. But yeah, it is a boring week with the boring free hit, and we're still gonna do it because we think it's gonna get us points. Paper. How's everyone doing today, though? Just in general. I feel like my free hit team is exactly the same as I thought it would be. Which is kind of sad, like in the sense that nothing's really inspired me any sort of direction. But what can you do? I feel like it is a free hit that picks itself, and obviously, like you can go for slightly different players, but like, does it like and to an extent, I have right. Like, I mean, I own Collins. Most people go Vandenberg. Does it matter too much? Not really, because I think both are great picks, but one person's gonna score a bullet header, right? Like I'm not gonna feel bad about Malin if he scores goals because like I know there's a huge risk that he can get subbed at 45. So that's the part with the free hit that I feel I guess uncomfortable parting ways with is just knowing that um yeah you're not gonna get that much upside in terms of like this week specifically if I go against other people's free hits, like what's the best way to do it. Sure, it could be going Doku Cherky. Sure, it could be going Mateus Nunez. Could be going Malin, but a lot of the picks are kind of obvious. Like maybe Liverpool as well. It's like, what am I going back to Palace players potentially? Who, West Ham's still a team to target. So I do find it tricky just pretending like it's super obvious to have to kind of I don't know ignore Liverpool or go back to Arsenal players because then I wouldn't free hit in the first place. So yeah. Foden's a bit of a lock for me. What's good, Jay Watts? Nice to see you around. I mean, Holland captaincy for sure. Cookies time. Yeah, sorry for coming online late, Vabs. Free over TC. I think that really just depends on like, this is a really good TC week for a lot of people. For I mean, like what the other TC week's like 17, right? For West Ham. So if you think you can hold out, then why not? Mo, nice to see you around, my friend. My favorite RuneScape creator. I've actually been playing RuneScape again. If anyone has been. I haven't played recently, but yeah, why is the free at the I just feel like honestly if you looked at the market odds for this week and you just kind of looked at the fixtures, you just come to the same conclusion. Like, let's just go to the fixtures anyways and just talk about it. Why people have the same team. It's like if I look at Brentford versus Burnley, Brentford have honestly been performing like a top half team, right? So there's no justification to say you bypass going for Brentford. But what are you going to do here? Are you going to Burnley is the worst defense in the Premier League. So are you going to triple up on Brentford attack or are you going to double up on Brentford attack? So that's pretty much how I would take it. The problem with Dango, right, who is basically the key to tripling up on Brentford attack, or alternatively you go Damsgaard, right? But Damsgaard is like the most auraless pick in the world. It's like and maybe he'll just score a screamer, right? But like realistically, this is a guy who is just pure assists, in the same way that I think Coyote's kind of like pure assists. So, am I really going to pick Damsgaard? No. Sorry. I'm going to pick some guy with a big bullet head. Um, with Dango, yeah, I mean, sometimes they could be dominating a game. I still feel like he can get subbed up 60, 70 because you know that they need Dango for the next match as well. So, if they need Dango for the next match, then he's probably going to get subbed off early because it seems like for whatever reason, like Dango isn't trusted to play like full 90 minutes, from a fitness perspective. They don't have that much depth either. So he's still going to come off as a sub, right? Like even after the Carvalho ACL injury, it's not like Dango's minutes suddenly improved in a ravishing way. Whereas like players like Thiago and Sade have been just bombing 90. So yeah, I feel like this is a case where you just have to go Sade, just to target how bad Burnley are. Then you go to like City Leeds. Realistically, I think Cherki has been exceptional, but he also plays somewhere between like 25 to 75 minutes a game. That's probably gonna say like I would say just because his cameo versus Leverkusen was good. Although I'm gonna eat a Kit Kat because this is super healthy when you're sick. But well, actually, my wife gave it to me, so I'll just blame her. No, I'm kidding. But like yeah, so what? Cherki 65 minutes, Doku 75 because he just gets hooked whenever, and then Foden like I don't know somewhere between 80 to 90 minutes of like aura farming the pitch doing nothing. That's Foden, right? For you. So yeah, you can pick between the three mids there, but I just feel like Foden still takes two shots a game. Why can't he score a screamer versus Leeds? You know, like is it so bad to think that Foden can do it? That's kind of what I'm struggling with here. So I just feel like yeah, Foden's probably the most sensible pick from that perspective too. There is a potential world where Cherki's benched. I know Luke has predicted it. I probably think Cherki starts. But it also comes down to whether Reinders starts in the midfield, right? Because if you just play Silva, Foden, then yeah, I think it's a pretty good looking like Foden game as well. Excuse me. It's another Bournemouth boring game, but decent clean sheet odds for both. Because they're both kind of toothless as attacks, like Bournemouth specifically away. Everton, Newcastle, that's a both teams to score game. Don't care. Spurs versus Fulham, kind of both teams to score. It's actually a pretty good game for Spurs, but Spurs are kind of depressing as a team. And Fulham at the end of the day, like, aren't that bad, but they have been pretty poor away from home. Crystal Palace versus United is actually a pretty good game. I just think United's attack is actually good. Yes, of course they didn't score versus 10 men, but that's not like a good justification to say, okay, this is what United's attack is, right? They've played multiple other games this season versus pretty decent defenses, and they've been able to score versus them or look threatening versus them. So yeah, I mean, like United, I think will score in that game, and therefore I'm not going to own a Crystal Palace defender. Clean sheet odds are, I think, a little bit skewed against Palace, but even if you look at like another model like 11 it's not that high. So yeah, kind of hard to own a Crystal Palace defender there. I also want to free hit against the non-free hit template. Like, why would I want to own the same team as everyone else? I wouldn't be free hitting. Villa versus Wolves, yeah, great clean sheet odds. But then it's like the classic Dean situation. Like, he can drop a stinker and he gets off at 45. So I have to pick cash. And I'd obviously pick cash over Konsa, even though Konsa can always... like, Konsa's fully capable of getting, the header plus the clean sheet. But cash also takes shots. He also has some form of XAG. So yeah, I don't know. Cash probably makes sense most of the time over Konsa. Forest vs Brighton's an interesting one, I guess, because that's actually a pretty good fixture on paper, but Brighton have been a pretty competent team. Like, I'd probably put them and Brentford as teams that I think people underrate still massively, like from a data perspective. But then Forest have actually been on an absolute tear on the Sean. There's picks like Gibbs White who've done well recently, but I guess my big question mark is like, is a 3-game sample good enough, for a lot of people to make decisions in FPL? Like, for me, it's not. Like, I don't suddenly have faith that Gibbs White's like suddenly one of the best 10s in the league. In the same way that I'd react to the as a performance like that and think he's not going to get hat tricks every single week. But yeah, he does look threatening, obviously. Yeah, and then West Ham versus Poole. I mean, West Ham under Nuno actually have conceded more XGC compared to Potter. Now, part of that is because they've conceded 2 penalties, right? So that's going to inflate the XGC by like 1.5 over the 7-game span. I think that Nuno's been in charge, but at the same time, they just haven't been that impressive on defense, as I said. Like, what's looked good is that they actually have found routes to score, and he's no longer playing diabolical midfield pairings. But even if you want to say stuff like that, like for example, like, oh, he's found the right midfield and things have been fixed since the Leeds game. They shipped 3.9 XGC to Bournemouth. Take away the penalty, that's still horrendous. So if there's anything Liverpool can do, it's probably score a goal. I know they only scored the one versus PSV, so shout out to Liverpool for doing that. But yeah, I mean, I'd still have some confidence in that, and so therefore Liverpool kind of feels hard to ignore, right? If we're saying the 2 worst defenses in the league are actually, West Ham and Burnley, I should be targeting them. And then actually the third worst one is Wolves, which I am targeting already. And the Chelsea Arsenal. Yeah, I mean Arsenal the best team in the world. Like let's not kid around there. But I don't know. Chelsea been super impressive to me, and it is at home for Chelsea. So for me, it's a good opportunity to just sidestep Arsenal. And that's kind of how I feel about the free hit. Like it is super template. But yeah, if I look back at the teams like Liverpool, like you could go Sobo, sure. But it's not like Gakpo is going to be super low ownership. Ignoring Salah as a choice, I guess. You can go Wilson if you really like, really truly believe that Liverpool just continue losing games left, right, and center. Um, as I said, the Northern Forest game, I'm just not fully confident in the form of Forest, and I think Brighton are decent. Villa, like we know Watkins, like he might not even start with Malin. You know, he like okay, he was great versus Young Boys, and also terrible what the fans did in that game from Switzerland, by the way. But like, he can get subbed up for 45. Same with Bundia. So it's like, what's even the point of me risking that when I can just get 90 minutes of Morgan Rogers cardio? Palace have talked about, so it's like for me a super obvious free hit, and then someone's obviously to say like, yeah, you're stupid for not considering Doku if he does well or Turkey if he does well. But it's not like both Doku and Turkey to do well. Maybe they will, but like O'Reilly, same thing here, where it's like his XGI on similar minutes to Mateus Nunes this season, like he's completely trounced him. Even though he only has just the one assist more, I think O'Reilly's just that more productive as a player. Like realistically, Haaland should have scored that chance for Newcastle, and I feel like O'Reilly's ownership would be even higher now, but it's like he hasn't kind of done too much recently. Um, like in terms of, I guess, impressing us. Okay, fine, he did score a goal here. Okay, I guess he's gotten his returns here, so like maybe people have probably just reacted to that. But then I think like people still have the debate around Nunez or the discourse around Nunez when I think actually it's not close between the two, and I'm happy to back that decision. So, yeah, that's kind of how the boring free hit has come about. It's just like, and getting Bruno into my team, like, does that make me any more happy to play FPL? Not really. I mean, I own Bruno enough as it is, and I'm sure he's gonna destroy me now. But who cares? At least he'll wipe the Palace clean sheets if he does that. So yeah, I feel like when I sit on this week and just think about it, it is an obvious free hit. I'm just gonna get rid of it. But I go back to a pretty non-obvious team. Like I have a very differential team from the rest of the field. So if there's one week where I have a similar team to the rest of the field, like so be it. That's my free hit. Um, any underrated fixtures? I guess it's probably the confidence on Nottingham Forest. Potentially, right? Because that is a home game for them. That could be an interesting game. Sar versus Shada makes sense on the free hit. Really though, I think this is so clear in favor of Shade. First of all, Sar's underlying has absolutely dropped off a cliff, which is sort of what we expected, right? Because they were just way too good to begin with. Okay, right now he's dropped to 0.47 NPXG XGI, right? So that's a pretty steep drop off, considering he was like number one in Europe for a bit. And once you contextualize, I think playing Burnley, who are by far and away the worst team that you can play around, I just think you'd much rather have Sade this week, because yeah, massive Burnley tax and at home as well. Like what is the numbers of Burnley? Yeah, so XGA, yeah, Burnley's like 25.1 XGA, right? West Ham's second in 20.3, and like yeah, United, even though they've been awful, and United specifically, I think have been awful away. Like they've still can do 16.6, like 10 less expected goals. So, oh yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on Marino is a big differential. Once again, oh, you're saying Shadi makes sense. Oh, fair play. Sorry, my bad. Um, yeah, Morgan Rogers cardio is what we're looking for. Yeah, Sobo as a free transfer could make sense, to be fair, especially if you have enough depth to cover like what the issue would be if he doesn't play. Good evening, Yala. Nice to see you around. What do you think about free hit Raya Timber? Oh, is that like okay? You want to replace your recurring team? Yeah, I think the free hit makes sense. Mateta's minutes aren't the best. Waltemad, not sure about because it's actually for me that's a poor fixture Everton way. Uh, the defense is strong, but then obviously like it's like, are you comfortable up like moving away from double Arsenal defense for a week? And if you are, then just go for it. Man United poor defensively, but the problem with Mateta too is like, does Mateta play more than 60 minutes, right? Like he can get subbed off pretty early. I know he scored versus United in the past, but that's kind of what my concern is. It is a good game for a SAR owner for sure, though. Like regardless of like the rolling recurring team. Green Brother, great rank though so far and great points. Yeah, I mean, you've obviously had a blistering start, so that's great. Rohits, sorry, just to look at your question, which combo is better on free hit? Kelleher plus Clash plus Cash, sorry, which allows for VVD Munoz or Martinez Collins Cash. I personally prefer Martinez Collins Cash, but if you want to go like Kelleher Cash Munoz, I'd do it. I'd probably still go Munoz over Virgil van Dijk. Um, we have the same 11 Mo. Sweet. Do you actually are you can have you considered any changes, Mo, to your free hit team? Kind of curious. You've probably already discussed this. Thoughts on free hit versus TC. I don't think free hit 16 is suboptimal, but guys, I own Saka, right? So if you don't own Saka, I feel like it kind of makes a bit more sense. You really like Doku over Foden? I see. I know what you mean. Like I've watched the football this season. I know Doku's just been better than Foden, but it's just like I still think Foden can do something, right? Opium and all that, but yeah. The problem with Malin too, it's like because he's not entrusted to play that many minutes anyways, and they've got a midweek match. Like, what if he does well? I don't know. It's like I guess what am I betting on here? I suppose I need him to play more than 17 minutes, right, to feel good about the decision. And then, yeah, if they've got midweek football, and if, for example, like he scores a brace in the previous match, and I guess he gets subbed off super early. I don't know. I do not know. Um, just feels rough when it's like Emery doesn't really like particularly rate him either. I'm doing pretty good, Mo. Nice to see you around. Um, thank you, Yala. Um, Holland TC this game week. I still prefer 17 versus West Ham. Would you start Grealish or Guehi? I'd start Guehi. Dango plays 90 with him being benched for Arsenal in the back five. It's a good point. That's a good point. Hmm. Let me try and think about like what were Dango's minutes around that Chelsea game. But the problem before that Chelsea game is that he was also benched for Fulham, or after that Fulham game, right? So yeah, I mean, the main thing too is like they haven't just like okay they for example they played versus Palace and they also played versus Liverpool, which were teams that I think on paper you'd say that Brentford would be happy playing the back three with, but they kind of just like made away with the back three, right? Or did they play back three versus Liverpool? I don't think they did. Like, am I missing the point here? I'm pretty sure they still played like Sade Uata, right, in that match. Yeah, yeah. So they played back four then too. Like so, okay. So they're gonna posture up versus Arsenal the one time. It could happen, right? They could just go back to the three. Yeah, I guess a good example of this is he played 74 minutes versus United, right? And then they did the back three versus City. Yeah. So I feel like that's the main problem with Dango, right? Like even if they were set up to play the back three in the subsequent game, he doesn't play 90 minutes in the previous match. Um because he's gonna come on as a sub. That's what happens when you play in the back in the back four, right? So usually what happens is he actually subs Thiago off a bit earlier so as to play the other players. Ouattara's a vastly better footballer than Shad and has won 4 penalties for Brentford so that he can be hooked early. Yeah, it is punty on 60, 75 minutes. Yeah, something like that. 75 minutes, I think, is fair. He's also someone I can see. The thing is, I don't think Shad is vastly worse as well, by the way. Like, I don't think Shad is. I think he's a bit underrated, to be honest, as a player. Like, Sade can comfortably get off a lot of shots in certain matches. like if you were to take Dango aside, like where Sade sits currently in terms of his XG per 90, and you were to chart them across the other midfielders in the league, like he's in a very healthy position in of himself, right? Um, yeah, like his numbers have been really impressive. Like even look at last season, like he got, I think something. I'm sorry, maybe I'm inflating this season's NPSG, but like last season, I think he was averaging something like 0.32, which was like super impressive. Per 90. You've got Malin instead of Rogers and Dango instead of Sade. Yeah, I mean like you're kind of like chasing XGI upside, so I kind of get it. And even penalty share with Malin, so why not? Um, Another thing too with Sade, I guess, is like if Thiago gets hooked a little bit earlier, he technically has pen share too, although he has missed. So, but Sade racked up 11 goals last season. Like he had I think at the end of the campaign, like he just went crazy. But you can say a lot of teams were on the beach, or he's just improving as a player. Chewy, how's it going, my friend? Still torn on free hit or not? Um, yeah, I mean, like I kind of decide to just free hit because I just feel like this season, at the first half of the season, you know for sure that you're going to be free hitting in a week where you're uncomfortable. That's the whole point of a single game week free hit, right? Like your rolling team, you designed it to be good on purpose, so it's not like you're deliberately trying to like make a bad team. It's very hard in a single game week to actually have like a perfect justification for a free hit. But the reality is you just need to pick a week and then you just need to play. I'm just hoping for the best, but I know I can get absolutely slaughtered by my rolling team. Um, it just kind of lines up with I don't have um like I don't have any Brentford. I don't have any Villa on a good week. I also am probably gonna sidestep City for a little bit, and this is like one of their best fixtures until 17. So I can always go for City players on 17. And then Liverpool too. Like I think just because it's Liverpool versus West Ham, it's another tidy opportunity to own Liverpool before we quickly like stop caring about them. I'd take Gakpo over Sobo any week. Yeah, yeah, I agree. What's your take on taking risk with a free hit? You're so torn between. Nice to see you around Meerkat, by the way. So torn between Dango and Shadi, so I'm considering both. Like when we say risk, are we talking about to what? I mean, like to be fair, your only like your risk is what people own Brentford defense. Like, is that I don't know. I mean, in most scenarios, that's like 4 to 5 points, like a Brentford defender, right? I don't think Dango can actually flop so hard. So yeah, I think it's like it's a good risk to take, tripling up on Brentford defense if you wanted to do it. Like I'm trying to think about my team now. I'd probably just drop Rogers, right? It's just that what I like about the Brentford defense is just slight mixture of like, yes, of course they play Burnley, which is like reduced DEFCON, but still probably better goal threat anyways. Versus that team, and then I think the higher clean sheet odds as it stands. So it feels like there's more expected points gained, but then obviously there's a benefit of like tripling up on attack sometimes. Why did you opt for free at 13 and TC17 over TC13 and free at 16? Um, yeah, if Brentford attack too badly, or I mean, it's virtually impossible to do bad versus Burnley. I mean, what I'm trying to say is I think most people actually have double Brentford attack, right? So your risk is really just that third player. Like, so your risk is purely just Dango versus a Brentford defender. I feel like you need to visualize it like that, right? Because it's like people are going to be down bad as well if Brentford defense don't do well. And honestly, they're literally playing the worst defense in the country. So it's like if they don't do well, then like it's whatever really. I mean, even Wolves were able to score 2 goals versus them. I would just see it as just the one pick, really. Um, why did you opt? But yeah, sorry. In terms of like the chip strategy piece, why did I opt free at 13 and TC17 over TC13 free at 16? I think it actually comes down to Arsenal ownership, right? And free at 16, stuff like that. Because like I first of all think TC17 is better than TC13 outright, and then free at 13 versus free at 16 is always like a team dilemma. So within my situation, I tend to own Saka, so that's kind of my captain already for 16. Am I that fussed about it? Not really. Enzo to Shadi or Mateta to Thiago this week? I'd probably just go Mateta to Thiago. Because Enzo actually looks like he can hold out really well for next week. So can Mateta, of course, right? He's got Burnley away, but I don't know. It almost feels like I'd be much comfortable holding Thiago long term than Sade long term, anyways. And Sade feels like a future move out because he is quite expensive for his price point. Um, would you chance the Spurs attacking a free hit? No, I mean, unless you're like super, I don't know, motivated by that Colomwani performance versus PSG, I'd probably say no. Yeah, protagonist, I'll look with Discord in a second. Rosa, if you had 0.6 more million to spend on your free hit, would you make any changes? Um, what is it? So I guess that means that I can afford Bruno somehow. Honestly, no. I'd probably just keep it as it is. Like I think at no point in this free hit did I feel like I was hampered by budget. Like I'd probably just improve my defense, like my auto subs a bit. I don't really like the idea of backing Bruno anyways this week. It's like the only reason why he'd have higher expected points than other midfielders is purely just because of DEFCON share. So if I'm just gambling for attacking returns and I'm hedging on certain teams, I might as well just back those teams anyways, as opposed to back another team and another outcome within Bruno. Which kind of, in theory, I would say like reduces my floor a bit. Start three out of Vandenberg, Timber Munoz, and Nico O'Reilly. Well, I mean Vandenberg, Nico O'Reilly have to start. I'd probably pick Munoz at home. And I'd bench Timber. Going with Sub and Allison over Gakpo and Martinez. You feel like Wolves are due a goal. Okay, fair. Well, you think West Ham's going to do well defensively? Hey, Jackson, nice to see you around. Haven't seen you around in a bit. Freddie Potts call will come alive. I mean, I like Potts, and I actually watched Potts in the preseason versus Man United, when they were in the USA, and I thought he was going to play this season. So and I've obviously made jokes about when they were playing like Socek Irving. But yeah, like he's not going to fix West Ham's defense. Basically, is all I'm going to say. Thoughts about Semenyo? I feel like he's just classic situation of start or doesn't start. As in like start or isn't in the squad. Genius. Start or doesn't start. Well done, Fran. I'd probably just start him, right? So in these kind of scenarios. Oops, on here. Excuse me. Uh, Alofgren says, would you free hit or use one free transfer this team? Anderson Muniz, Muniz that's Munoz, right? Virgil van Dijk, Senesi, Rodon, Sakurai, Mbemo, Njai, Semenyo. Um, hmm. Honestly, I'd probably free hit. Yeah, I'd probably free hit. Even though you have Thiago, which like I don't know, some people are obviously using owning Thiago as a basis to not free hit, but I mean, let's be honest, Dream Brother, they should have lost to Bournemouth, right? But Bournemouth have obviously just like shipped so many goals for no reason. Like the Villa game, those 4 goals were just crazy. Semenyo starts, would you put him in over Gakpo? Ooh, that's an interesting question. No, I'd actually play Gakpo over him personally. I think I forgot to manage my draft teams, which sounds extremely sad, but feel like I need to look into doing that now. Not that I've been doing well in draft, by the way. Been a painful road, to say the least. You should put some music on. That's a good point, actually. The problem is, I think I've tried like non-copyrighted music in the past, and it just hasn't like. Would you want it just for the live streams or like for every video? If someone can actually like direct me to some like nice, I don't know, music that won't kind of get me in trouble with YouTube, I'm happy to. I'm happy to oblige. You're a bit worried about Mateta's minutes. I personally would trade him this week if you don't own Thiago. Now, if you don't have Thiago to go for, I would probably just forget about it because like there's not many forwards in the world right now, and especially when you think about Thiago too, like he's got Arsenal next week. Like the only upside to like moving Mateta out is for such a golden fixture like Thiago versus Burnley at home. There's not many forwards who even versus limited Mateta minutes would do better than Mateta 60 minutes versus Man United at home, and hopefully, of course, another start versus Burnley. And let's be honest too, like another thing that this Palace team have struggled with is like they've played weaker opposition in the European Conference leagues. Uh, yeah. Oh, the whistle sound. I'll think about it. Yeah. Sorry, I'll think about like replacing it with something else. Um, if I own double Everton plus most of the non-free hit template apart from Saka start, do you think that's worth free hitting? What presumably that's like NJ plus a defender. Most of the non-free hit template apart from Saka. I mean, yeah, I don't really see why you wouldn't want a free hit. Like, I mean, it's like I don't think that's like a justification for not free hitting if that makes sense. Like, I probably have like my rolling team. What I'd had double. I'd play Virgil, probably Senesi, probably Lacroix. Uh, double. God, would I really play double United? Yeah, I guess I'd play double United attack. I play Dewsbury Hall as well, so that's like another Everton player. Mateta and Holland. Well, I'd probably have sold Mateta to Thiago. I'd probably own Thiago. But I'd be playing what three? Yeah, I'd be provisionally playing 3-5-2 with Semenyo, right? Yeah, and I still chose the free hit. I don't think it's a bad idea to free hit personally. Like if you have a similar team to this, yeah. I mean, it's up to you at the end of the day. I just think like if you showed me your 16 team, your 14 team, whatever, like I just can't imagine it's that much better or worse, like in terms of the gulf and the free hit. Like I think this is one of the biggest gulfs in terms of expected value for free hits that we're gonna get up until the rest of the season. Palace look just a tad sluggish. I mean, one thing about Palace is that they've been pretty poor away from home. Now, obviously, they're at home versus United, but at the same time, like they have obviously like they are in that spot of struggling quite a fair bit. Why not Doku over Foden? I personally just think Foden can do something, right? That's pretty much it. Like as long as he can take those 2 shots per game and he scores one of them, I'm happy with Foden. You're feeling a Salah blank again? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, just don't go for him if you don't want to. The problem is like Salah's gonna come back on what the free at 16 template. He's gonna come back on the free at 14 template. Um, yeah, I don't know. Well, actually, maybe Palmer will be there on free at 16 over Mr. Mo. It is still just Everton at home, but I know Palmer obviously has that historical record beat. Fran, what is happening to our team, Real Madrid? Well, first of all, we're still not as bad as Barcelona. However, I honestly just think our team's not that good, right? Let's just be honest with ourselves. We are playing what Carreras left center back. We don't have a functional right center back most weeks. Trent actually looks amazing, by the way. Trent's back. Left back, yeah, whatever. You know I don't love Mendy, but the midfields. I mean, Valverde's struggling. I think as a player, I think he's always struggled personally. You know, when Cruz or Modric aren't there because he's not a dictator of the game. Um, not in the fascist sense, but I just mean like progressive football and just sort of controlling being on the ball. Yeah, I mean like, come on, man. We're playing Olympiacos, and he still dropped off his kind of wingers from crosses, right? Like I think the Taremi goal is kind of an instance of that, but it's also just poor defense because he didn't really have backup. Um, yeah, I mean like Mendy just produces nothing on attack as well, which every fullback in the world just produces something on attack. He is like the one that doesn't. So that's a huge hampering piece. Like another thing too is like I think like Vinny doesn't have a great sort of fullback relationship. Partially because he actually played with Mendy for most of his career, so I feel like he's never worked on like 1-2s with like fullbacks and sort of like laying the ball on someone who goes like outside in. But yeah, I don't know. I think our team's not good enough. I think Mbappe's great. We still need a right winger somehow, and Goulet for me is still not at the world class level where he can dictate like a big game. So until that happens, like we're gonna struggle. And then Jude is Jude. Like he'll get us some jammy goals here and there because he's great. But yeah, we're pretty imbalanced. But we have some pretty big injuries, right? Like Tchouaméni will be huge. Having two center backs that actually play center back all the time will help. And I think this is like still a rebuild season. Yeah, Vinny just naturally is better at just like taking on 1v2s, but he needs to also learn how to utilize an LB. I don't think it's not supposed to be like, oh, we're making Vinny better by having Fran Mondi play. I think in theory it's like Vinny needs to also learn how to use a left back because that's another tool. Like the point of Real Madrid is not to make like our tool set weak. Like we have so few avenues to goals. Like you can see without Trent, we can't even score set pieces, stuff like that. Um, anyways, that's enough Real Madrid for today. I think yeah, and the Spanish league has dropped off a fair bit, so hopefully we'll improve soon. But I'm encouraged by what I've seen personally, like and I think what Xabi's trying to do. So yeah, could you explain your Game Week 13 odds visual? Yeah, absolutely, deviate. So effectively, that's basically just the. Oh my God, is it the wrong week? No. Um, what have I done? What have I done? Give me a sec. Sorry, I'm so confused. Let me try to fix that actually. In the meantime, sorry guys. Very good spot. If you weren't freeing this week, which midfielder under 7 million would you have my eye on? Short punt with the incoming 5 transfers. Honestly, Elliot Anderson seems kind of interesting. Uh, I think it, it's kind of boring, right? Because I still like Minte a lot, but you probably own Minte. I wouldn't want to back Rogers over the next 5. Hmm. Maybe like Jeremy Pino's interesting. Tavernier as well. Sub 7, right? I mean, like Sar is still there, really. But that's only 4 fixtures at best. It could actually just be going back to Sobo, right? Maybe a few Sobo punt. Yeah, the odds graphic is wrong. I'm aware of that. I'm just gonna fix that quickly. Um, oh, I obviously just need to update the graphic, but yeah, it's just I kind of run it like as a what do you call it? Like as a job. So I'm just kind of rerunning the graphic. Hopefully, it won't take too long. Semenyo's out. I don't think that's is Semenyo 100% out. Is that confirmed? Let me just check news sources. Have we gotten city leaks? I can't see any leaks, guys. Where are you guys seeing that Semenyo's out? Excuse me. Yeah, let's talk about the odds visual in a moment. Um, I have fixed it. Yeah, odds visual is fixed. If you wanted to, I guess if you weren't asking for the purpose of saying like it looks wrong, yeah, these are basically just the expected goals for the teams, right? So obviously, like if you were to look at implied clean sheets, you kind of just look at the opponent's expected goals and just think about it like that visually. But as you can see, this is like a week where we're actually expecting a lot of teams to have very low clean sheet odds. So actually, like even the best games on offer would be like Liverpool, Brentford, even Bournemouth and Sunderland, both of them to an extent. Doesn't really look that right though. I feel like the Wolves numbers are way too high. Let me just quickly pull up the market odds so I can update it live. It's a strange one, really, for the transfers. It probably is Sobosar. Yeah, but Sobosar, like, the problem with Sobosar is, like, okay, yeah, you still run the risk of, like, whatever happens when you don't have Sobo. But I feel like because the midfield landscape is so weak, yeah, Sobo makes a lot of sense. He's the best stat-based FPL content creator. Yeah, I will get some music for the next live stream. I appreciate that. Hi, Fran, who to bench? Richards, Virgil, Matera, Senesi. I'd actually probably bench. I'd probably bench Richards. Hello, Fran. Sorry to write my team. Okay, it's Petrovic, Timber, Munoz, O'Reilly, Eze, Enzo, Foden, Sar. I mean, I'd probably just get Chalaba out for a defender. Like, you can just go Vandenberg this week, right? Couldn't you? Annie says, I'm planning to triple captain over free hit. I think that makes sense for your team, Annie. Honestly, I don't mind that whatsoever. Especially since, like, you have the consideration of, like, when to TC as well. Um, yeah, and you have Saka, right? Which kind of influences how you feel about Game Week 16. I understand, like, your approach to that, right? Um, no, it seems like actually, to be honest, it seems like the odds that I've pulled are pretty close, but it obviously depends on like which betting sites that I'm actually using like info from. But I think it looks a bit cleaner now in terms of the clean sheet odds, so I'll just update that as well. Um, or a bit more in line with my expectations. Let's just say that. Um, yeah, working off that, obviously, Best clean sheet odds from Brentford, which makes sense. Then City, then Villa. Yeah, which is kind of consistent. Tottenham's actually pretty high up there too, but I don't know. I don't love Tottenham, so that for me is something that I would bypass, I suppose. Like I guess on paper, it's a pretty good Van de Ven week if you want to think about it like that. You hope Doku plays. It seems like he'll play. Why not Nottingham Forest players, especially defense? I don't think Nottingham Forest are a good defense. Do you? I think if anything, their attack was pretty decent. Would I stick by my wildcard draft from my latest video? Possibly, but I might take Semenyo out. However, it seems like I think 11-5 has one of the best team strength models, right? And he's consistently posted that he's performed well against market expectations. So I think he is one of the best around. I wouldn't say he has the best statistics. We have no news on Semenyo starting. I can't really see any news whatsoever about Semenyo starting. Shadi versus Welbeck, I'd go Shadi every time. I mean, why would I take on Welbeck versus Nottingham Forest away? Like, of course you want Burnley at home, sort of hunt against predicted lineups. If we're talking City, I think Luke predicted a City lineup that's great. Jack Borsman, nice to see you around, my friend. Hope you're doing well and playing football still. I'm going Thiago captain over Holland, taking a hit for Savona. Fair enough. Tavernier x Thiago or Semenyo x Troopy. I'd go Tavernier x Thiago. Hoop Gaming. Holland gets high score this season. They're saying triple captain. Why Petrovic? Is Martinez not guaranteed to start, or are you flexing team value? Flexing team value. Because okay, if I spent another 0.5 on Senesi, is there actually an upgrade? I don't know. I don't think so. I do not think so. Sara Doku. I'd probably go Doku. Thoughts on getting Cherky on free hit? Do we even know Cherky starts? Um, the manager. Just trying to see, like, we don't have any city leaks, right? I think, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't. Thoughts on an Isak punt on a free hit? Honestly, I feel like I rate excuse me, Isak and Gakpo like almost exactly the same. So yeah, I'm not super fond of it. Because he's quite expensive. As is Salah, to be fair. I guess if you're willing to drop Salah from the free hit, like I don't mind Isak. How about Doku plus Foden plus Holland instead of Riley plus Foden plus Holland? I feel like O'Reilly is actually better than most of the mids. Like I would honestly pick O'Reilly over Foden. Afternoon Fran, thoughts on a Minte punt and free hit? I just don't love the game, the fixture that is. Turkey only played 30 minutes in the Champions League. Doesn't mean too much though, right? Because he played 75 minutes the previous game versus Newcastle for 72 or something like that. So it doesn't really guarantee him a start. He was good in the Champions League game though, I will say that. But you just like they can just play Reinders too, right? Uh, and that will just mean Bernardo plays on the right. I don't think Gakpo is a must start. I just have him on the free hit because I don't have Bruno, you know, and I don't want Bruno personally, but we'll see. Kolo Money actually looks interesting because I feel like he's got to start. He actually shows signs of life from that Tottenham team. Barnes, I'm not sure because I don't like the fixture for Barnes. Why Foden plus Shade over Semenyo plus Sar? I don't even know if Semenyo's going to play, so why run the risk? And then Sar, I think is just worse than both Foden and Shade. So yeah, I mean Foden and Shade simply have better games. So why wouldn't I just go for players that are low owned and actually playing versus really tough teams or easy teams versus like people that I would probably have on my base team? It's like even asking like if I want to go an Arsenal defender over Collins, which I don't. I like on like every other week I would, but not a week like this. Yeah, Foden has done nothing this season. Let's be honest. Like what he's only scored the goal versus United. If Turkey set the start, I'd consider going for him. Yeah, but we won't have the guarantee by the deadline if we don't have a league. Uh, Thiago or Walter Matter long term, for sure. Thiago, just the cheaper price point, guaranteed pens like every single minute. Don't. It's not really worth running the risk. Excuse me. Which Brentford defender is optimal? I don't know. I really don't think there's a huge difference between like Collins, Coyote, and Vandenberg. I think just go for whatever you want. That's kind of the point of defense sometimes. Like you actually want to back like double, triple defense because the main routes towards points from a defense is actually getting that clean sheet. It's not really anything else. Really like Sar over this week as a channel runner on Dorgu plus Shaw's side this week. We're conceding a lot of chances. That's true. At the same time though, like Sar just hasn't been like that brilliant recently himself. And then also I'm trying to think about it, but like, did Everton do anything? Not really. From that flank, you've got 0.4 in the bank on wild card. You think you should go to Saliba from Calafiori? I'd probably actually go Calafiori. I just enjoy like how well he's playing. Munoz over Cash. I wouldn't do it, but yeah, if you want to go for it, go for it. It's not a bad move. It's just I prefer taking the punt against Wolves, who I'm sure will score. Start Declan Rice or Enzo. I would start Declan Rice. Why not downgrade the bench to get some extra funds? I just don't understand what extra funds will do for my team though. Like there's not really any players that I'm interested in getting in with extra funds. Like I generally wouldn't go Munoz even if I had extra funds. So or even Virgil. Gakpo to Bruno. Once again, I probably just wouldn't do it. Just on the basis that like if I'm backing against Liverpool result, I might as well just back it with two players on the attacking end, as opposed to kind of like spread my risk. Um, Anyone you would pick over Gakpo for free hit? Yeah, I mean people have mentioned it. Bruno for sure. I guess with Semenyo Dallas, it's not really worth even considering that. I think Sobo is interesting. Want to go Malin or Sar? Like these are good players too, for sure. I think part of it as well is like if you just think about who's going to play 95 minutes, I think it does sort of factor into my consideration, like with Rogers too. Like I feel like there could be like Sar's minutes might not be perfect for this game. Uh, they should be, but you know, Rogers 95 feels pretty safe. Gakpo, just because of the lack of options that they have, feels pretty safe. Um, yeah, if anything, I don't know. Like Salah could lose minutes in the future. Why Gakpo over Sobo? Pure underlying stats, right? What would make me worried about Gakpo's minutes? What do you think about Richarlison's differential for it? I mean, it's pretty decent. I think Kolomwani is interesting too if you want to back like really against Fulham. But the thing is, like, if there's one thing I can credit Fulham with is that they're decent on defense, right? And they've actually smashed Tottenham a couple times. Um, TC worth it this week? Yeah, it's one of the last remaining good TC weeks for sure. Collins or Vandenberg? I would just go Collins because I can afford it. But like, I don't think there's much separating the two. Like one player has slightly higher XG, one player has slightly higher XAG, one player misses a few more chances than the other. That being Vandenberg, sorry. You know, Collins marginally better on DefCon in certain matches, and so you can kind of chalk it up to narratives of like back three, back four, but will Bruno outscore Gakpo? I would say no. I would hope not. Is what I'm suggesting. But like he very well could, very well could. Still trying to look for some news, but I really feel like we're not getting any this week. It's a bit of a shame. So what can you do? Excuse me. Oh, Dance was a pretty good auto sub this week. Now that I think about it, because Romero's injured, right? So if anyone's considering that, that's a pretty good one. Thoughts on FPL Brandon tweet about co-variance? Uh, I mean, it's nothing new, right? Oh God, he's decided to write a long piece. In the table. Right, so he's just basically suggesting like what your the best chance of you actually getting like a high amount of clean sheets is just stacking it, which is what nothing groundbreaking, right? Based on like clean sheet odds. in terms of like if you wanted the best outcome of, let's say, okay, if you had four defenders, for example, to pick from, how to get clean sheets from those defenders. Yeah, obviously, if you like stacked on certain teams, you'd get that. But I mean, I think for example, like with the team like myself, right, where I'm getting two Aston Villa and then getting, let's say, one City, um, I think is like my pairing. I don't know why he's not covered all the possibilities as well. Like it's kind of uh, yeah. So for example, like I'm obviously living more within the range of having a probable chance of getting like 1 to 2 to 3 clean sheets versus like situations where maybe you're chancing more like two or four. I mean, like I don't think the analysis is like particularly helpful. Like it's just conceptually, it just makes sense, right? Obviously, like if you're backing multiple defenses, you're just like the chances of those defenses actually getting a clean sheet is obviously coordinated with the amount of defenders that you have. Like nothing about that analysis is like groundbreaking. People know stacking exists. Um, yeah, but you know you're probably gonna what, like triple up on one defense and then go for another defense. At the same time that also precludes you from like certain attackers with like very like high outcome how high outcomes of doing very well. So for example, like if you were to stack, let's say, I don't know, well, no one's gonna go, I think, triple city defense anyways, because yeah, your opportunity cost is massive versus the attackers, and the same thing goes with Brentford, I would say. So like whilst obviously like the simulations of Man City and Brentford come up the highest, the reality is you're just unlikely to really enjoy the fruits of it, from because there's an extremely high likelihood that the attacks of those teams also do very well, right? Um, and then I think on the piece of like, is maybe the most interesting defense probably like triple Aston Villa. I think that's pretty logical. So like if I was to go triple Aston Villa in my team, I guess it's just a classic, go concept, let's Dango, right? Yeah. Something I'm interested in kind of looking at too is like, okay, obviously attacking returns are covariant as well in terms of like they're a stack, but you also need to kind of consider, I don't know, how likely is it that a team absolutely blows. Hmm. Because there's an expected value loss of, like, for example, like if I do Collins down to concert, there's just a natural expected value loss because, like, I guess um maybe DefCon's baked into it a lot, and I need to consider that too. Like now defenders obviously independently get DefCon, so I think it changes some of our previous studies on covariance. I was like Gakpo, I'd go Gakpo. Please stop spamming chat though. Um, but yeah, I think the logic is, why does everyone have Sade, Foden, Gakpo in their free hit? I mean, they're literally playing against the worst defenses around, or at home, right? In Foden's case, like Burnley at home is one of the worst defenses in the world. Um, sorry, in a top flight league. So why would you not want to have a nailed Brentford attacker to top up on Thiago? On Gakpo, similar situation. West Ham probably second worst defense. Obviously Liverpool are away, but still a good punt. Morgan Gibbs White over Shadi makes sense. What if I use three City attackers? The funny thing with O'Reilly though is that he's got really good XGI, right? You don't even know if Cherokee gonna start, so that's just a risk as well, the way that I see it. Like the reason why I guess I'm comfortable with this draft from this perspective, from the sort of covariance perspective or whatever, is just like, I feel like when there's such one-sided fixtures too, like something people just need to sort of pay respect to is like, it's like the simulations where all the defenses pop off for a certain team, and people get a clean, very likely as well that there's an attacking return in there somewhere. So in terms of lineups, like with Aston Villa, it's like they're actually, if Villa were to get a return, it's pretty likely to come from someone like Rogers too, just because he's on the pitch the most. With Sade, it's like just inevitable with Burnley being so bad. So yeah, it's like also like, I think the opportunity cost of the attack this week is kind of poor for a covariance perspective, because it's very hard to guarantee minutes for some of the other players from the same teams. But yeah, it could just be that I should just go Dango and go Consa and sort of that would be my best outcome, I suppose. Really, but yeah, Rogers over Sar. It's just the matchup of Wolves at home. Really, Malin I think is a good punch because he's played so well and he got the early sub. Three up front with Welbeck, Haaland, Thiago, and free hit. I just don't really like Welbeck on the free hit personally. Nottingham Force away doesn't scream like a great Welbeck game, but maybe he'll do well. Like just looking at the odds, for example, for like Brighton versus Nottingham Forest, I don't think like that's a a particularly good game for my odds visual actually updated. Let me check. Yeah, it is. Okay. You're feeling that with Longstaff and Stackout, maybe lean more over to TC Hollanders over Game Week 17. Yeah, that's a fair point. Do you think O'Reilly has a higher chance of a 90 than Nunez? I think both of them have a pretty high chance of getting a 90. Like, I think they're actually on paper set up to both get 290s over the next 2 weeks. Two fixtures, sorry. Sorry, they scored 5 versus Burnley, but the point is the same. City scored 6 versus Burnley at home and only got 1 point after playing 90 minutes. Right. But I'm not really sure what the logic of that is. So, are you saying you should go Mateus Nunez because he scored in that game, or maybe you, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know what's the outcome of that. You just pick defenders. Is that what you're saying? Because the defenders also lost a clean sheet versus Burnley, right? Um, Defender 90s. Yeah, I agree. Defender 90s aren't even that important. Like once you breach the threshold of 60, you're basically good as a defender. There's also the likelihood of keeping a clean sheet is much higher at 60 minutes than at 90 for any defense in the world. Is a Brentford defender necessary in a free hit team? No, it's not. It's not. You can definitely just go more Aston Villa defense, more City defense. If you want to go Munoz, go for it. Enes Ronaldo's getting minutes? I think so. I mean, he scored last match, right? He did pretty decent. Why Gakpo just plays for West Ham. How are the odds stacked in the corner, Fran? Can you explain? It's just basically the expected goals for each team, right, within the match. So, for example, like City 2.1, like Leeds 1.05. So you can kind of imply that this is like the market expected goals for the game. So from that perspective, like if I was to look at highest clean sheet odds, I'd basically look at the opposing team's expected goals and kind of work back from there. So as you can see, like Brentford have the highest clean sheet odds just because their opponents are like literally sub 1 in terms of expected goals. Because if you're to run a probability, right, of like, if let's say 0.95 is the average expectation for a defense, what you're saying for a clean sheet is just the probability of something. But they are odds. It's not XG though. It's actually just expected goals. They're just the goal odds. I guess it could be EXG. But it is just goal odds. But why would it be confusing though when you look at it? Like what do you think it would be instead? I guess like when you think of odds of that, what would you think of? Okay, I see what you mean. But betting odds on what though? Sorry. Oh right, to win. You mean? Okay, I see what you mean. Van de Ven or Collins? I'd go Collins. I mean, if you bet professionally, you'd know that it can't be team odds because like the odds they're not realistic, right? As in they don't add into like roughly like 110% or something like that. Free up front with Welbeck and Thiago on a free hit. As I said, I don't really like Welbeck, but you can keep asking the question. I meant that opponent has been so poor that even such a blowout game as he did not get a return. Yeah, but the thing is, like, okay, Foden has been so poor. Yes, I agree with that. But it also it doesn't really mean that you ignore City, right? Like for example, like most times, if Foden was to play in a match where City score 5 goals, like he should be involved. It's just naturally how I would see it. Because you can see the Champions League games too. Like he's been very, very involved. Um, do I bet for fun? I play fantasy betting games, and which I would say I play. I want to say I play professionally, but yeah, I don't play that for fun because it's season long. But I also for fun I will do team bets, like more like Asian handicap stuff. Um, how are you feeling about Turkey now? Has there been an update in terms of whether he's going to start? I just feel like with the uncertainty of him starting, I just wouldn't go Turkey, I suppose. That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. Foden had a huge chance versus Newcastle, right? Let's be honest. Like, and for his quality, like we don't expect him. When was the last time I bet on a game? Probably Champions League, right? So I think trying to see like what's my last Champions League related one. Um, yeah, I think my bet was Real Madrid like plus 1.25, which obviously we failed to do just because we're shocking. But there's not much to say other than we're just astronomically bad. What do you think? Who will win this year's F1 championship? Okay, interesting question. I am a bit of a Max fan, so why not Doku? I don't know. I still think like if you were to give me Foden 90 minutes and Doku 75, I'd probably still take Foden, even though obviously Doku's the one who's actually having a productive season this year, and the underlying is back him. It's just that there are enough good Foden seasons for me to think positive finishing stuff like that. You've unsubscribed. What's wrong with being a Max fan? He's only the best driver ever. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Lando wins, but I don't really care. Like if Piastri wins, it's fine. I'm not really the type of like fan in sports where I hate one person and I like one person. Like I'm a Real Madrid fan, but I have no problems with Messi. Like he's my goat. Um, hating on Max in 2025 is just. I mean, I guess you can find him annoying as a personality, but it's just like I don't know. When you're watching the actual driving, it's like what is there not to like? What do you think of Watkins? I just think the minutes are so shaky that I wouldn't trust it. If salary wasn't an issue, would you have Saka over Gakpo? Probably not. Um, I know it's a joke. Don't worry, bro. Wild card, you've got Munoz, Timber, Lacroix at the moment. You want to move into California into the next 2 weeks? Yeah, I mean, just firm him. We don't even know if Turkey starts, my friend Amani. Semenya and Mbemo for this week? Probably Semenya first. Van Dijk or Bowen for this week? Probably Van Dijk. Sell Stack or Reinders to Bruno or Mbemo? Yeah, I work full time. FPL's just a part time thing for me. I work as a sort of big four accountant. Start Elliot Anderson or Minte. Elliot Anderson for me. Is Semenya fit to play or not? We literally do not have news on it, but I would just treat Semenya as a classic case of like start if you own, keep if you own, and then obviously if you don't own, like don't really care, I suppose. But I wouldn't bench him for any reason. All right, normally not hate on other players, but for Hamilton's very close. As in you hate Hamilton, or as in like because you like Hamilton, you don't like Max. I'm not gonna share my LinkedIn, my friend. What? You play F1 Fantasy too? I don't. I just don't have time for it. I really don't. I just don't have time. Um, started to answer my question and stopped. Oh man, what did I do? Oh, sell Stack or Reinders to Bruno and Bemo. I'd sell Stack, right? Because he's injured. Like Reinders could actually start today. 0.3 in the bank for a 1 week punt. Who'd you recommend? Players who I'm considering removing are. Wait, 0.3 in the bank. Okay, I mean, just get rid of. Can you do Stack to Anderson? Because I actually think that's a pretty decent move. Why would you consider removing Lacroix or Minte? I guess you could do Mateta to Thiago if you wanted to do that. Like all other drivers. Oh, you like? Okay, you don't like Hamilton. Fair. I mean, I'm a Fernando Alonso fan, so I have a bit of a bias. I do think Alonso is like one of the greatest drivers ever. And I think there are some that are quite overrated, just by a touch. Like even like Seb, who obviously Seb is like one of the most wonderful people in the sports, right? Sorry, wonderful sportsmen that we have, just in terms of like off the grid and stuff like that. But sorry, Fernando Alonso is I'm Spanish, and I know Alonso's someone that people don't love, right? But I think just I like passion in sports. I like someone who's competitive, and the reality of like motorsports racing is you're kind of buoyed by your team choices, right? Yeah, I know Nui would be team principal. I'm looking forward to a good Alonso season. He's actually quietly had a decent year after a pretty awful start. But like that car is just, I mean, there's not many words I can say that are nice about that car. Is playing Ballard on free hit a bad idea? Well, I wouldn't say it's a good idea, so maybe not. I just feel like on a free hit, is it more likely that players expected to do well are going to do well, or is it more that players expected to do mediocre are going to do well? Is kind of how I would approach it. Is there any other good point for a free hit other than Game Week 13? Well, I think 15 is kind of like Game Week 13 reduxed. I think 16 makes a bit of sense if you're like underinvested in Arsenal or you don't have a captaincy for this week. I think 17 also makes sense if you're like underinvested in Bournemouth, right? Because if you've sold all your Bournemouth players recently, like you sold Semenyo, etc., pretty good opportunity to revisit them on that week. Mateta X Tavernier or Foden X 5.7. I'd probably just go. Does that mean that you already have Thiago in the wild card? If you do, then I'd probably just go Foden plus you. You know, how old am I? Let's just say like I'm under 30. I don't really want to put too many details out there. Caicedo Saka. What for this week? I'd just play Saka for sure. Please Sobo or Gakpo. I'd go Sobo as a free transfer, but on the free hit, I'd go Gakpo. Does that make sense? Thiago Dango Shade on free hit. Yeah, if you want to do that. One of the issues as well, I actually wanted to speak about this, but it's just like, there is a possibility, I guess, that Dango could be a slightly early sub versus Burnley. Uh, especially since they have to rotate for midweek too. And he'll come on as a sub as well for the Arsenal game. See you later, man. Take care and good luck with the exam. Would you free hit if you wildcard last game week? You have Thiago O'Reilly. Yeah, I would. It seems like your wildcard planned for this free hit, so I wouldn't free hit. All right, sorry about that. We're so back. Or not. Let's see how the free hit goes. Imagine Salah gets benched. Fair play, man. Maybe he can do, what he did versus Rangers that one time. Because it's not like Salah starting has helped, right? You hate the review FT suggested structure going Thiago and 4-5-1. Wait, what? Can you kind of like describe what that means? Oh, as in like, you just mean like just benching Thiago for the next 2 weeks, right? What's wrong with that? Fran Magic Man. Thank you, brother. Um, your bench is thin, so you feel like you're setting yourself up for pain. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the pain is gonna come midweek, personally. You know, so if you feel like the midweek game week 14 is an issue for you, then have a thought about that. Do you have a favorite player watching the Premier League right now? Not just FPL wise. Yeah. Good question. Um, I'm actually just gonna look at the league table, right, and I'll just mention a couple players I like watching personally. So I don't know. Arsenal, I guess it's like watching Rice is fun. Timber as well. Chelsea, like Estebao's pretty fun to watch. Mostly as a sub though in the Premier League, so it's not really. Does it even count if I say that? Probably not. City. Villa, no one really. Uh, us probably Wharton. Yeah. Brighton, it's still Minte, but I think he's like quite raw still. Pretty jammy return so far as well. But I do like him. Sunderland, not really. Bournemouth, kind of like watching Krupi. Um, I do think he's like an elite ball striker. Tottenham, quite a big fan of Jed Spence last season, but I can't say I love him. Uh, United, probably still like. I kind of like watching Ahmad and Mbem on the right hand side, and then just Bruno in general. Everton and Jai. Liverpool, Sobo. Just to kind of watch Sobo this season because it's like I feel like he's become the main man of the team, but he's a bit so like he kind of reminds me of Fede Valverde from Real Madrid, but he's a bit better on the ball as a passer. But it's nice watching him. Brentford, not really. I mean, I quite like Coyote because I owned him a lot in Football Manager. Henderson's been pretty good. Yarmouk is I don't know. He's not that interesting yet. Newcastle, generally nobody. Like, yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, I guess. Fulham, Forest, no. West Ham. I don't like watching bots. Um, Leeds. Uh, maybe they're right back. And then Burnley Wolves. I don't really care. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I kind of like just watching young talents because I tend to think, okay, who are these players in these teams are going to be like in a world class team one day? Kind of questions like that. Um, is Gakpo over Semenyo easy choice? I don't think so, but the menu with doubts, I feel like makes it easy on the free hit. Is triple captain Holland as 100% he's an option. Don't stop me from doing that. I think the volume is low just because I'm sick and I like prolonged periods of speaking is pretty tough for me. Although, oh, maybe it's actually because my default microphone volume is low. I don't know why Windows does this, but it always just changes the default microphone volume. Yeah, it literally did that. Good spot. See, this is much better now, right? I hate Windows. I don't even know how to fix this problem, if anyone knows. So basically what happens is like the Windows Microsoft output for the mic volume always changes. Um Classic Windows. Feels like more of a Windows 11 issue, but I don't know. Is Gakpo over sorry. bench boost Dubravka, Saliba, Mukiele, KDH. That's actually not bad. I'd probably send that. Not sure who to bench between Enzo, Senesi, Lacroix. I'd probably bench Enzo. One free transfer and 0.3 in the bank, would just sell Enzo or just roll. I think it's actually a pretty good week to roll Enzo, because I think there are not too many enticing midfielders to buy this week, and then you obviously keep Enzo for Leeds away. Yeah, I do wish I was a bit more nailed in the league. Thank you, Sidar, for the suggestion. Old man Sal not doing nothing. I mean, he is doing nothing. I just want him to do something. Thoughts on Malin free hit? I think it makes sense as well. A bit risky though. I would just roll, but please stop spamming chats. I'm just gonna have to time you out. Love from Bangladesh. Nice to see you. Actually had a pretty good friend from Bangladesh who's like an esports player back there. Way back when. Are there any players you wish you could fit in your team? Or are these the best players? Yeah, I mean, like, I think Sar's interesting. I think, Dango's interesting as well. All right, if you're gonna spam stars in the chat, you're getting a 10-minute timeout. Sorry, buddy. Virgil and Munoz in the free hit. Probably Munoz still. I kind of just like backing a home game. Why not Watkins in the free hit? I just can't guarantee Watkins' minutes are going to be any good. Luka Dean is interesting too, to be fair. I guess Luka Dean, yeah, is probably the one to consider. I'm trying to think, did Dean come on for Young Boys? He didn't, to be fair. So, but then also, like, what's going to happen midweek too? Like, they could still do a Dean early sub. I don't know. Is Review missing a trick this week, or are we missing it? What do you mean by that? On the free hit, or why Foden instead of Doku? I feel like it's just minutes and a bit of faith on Foden. I don't know, Trini. I mean, like, what tricks do you have up your sleeve? Considering Dango over Gakpo, I'm not going to talk you out of it because I think it makes sense. Disco Vic. Thoughts on Coyote over Brentford CBs on free hit has not much potential for defcons. Yeah, but the thing is, like, who's also getting on the end of these, like, long throws and things like that, right? Like, who are the targets of them? You'd still have to imagine it's the CBs. Is Nunez over any other City defender? I would go O'Reilly over Nunez every day. We've had so little leaks this season. Yeah, I think, look, clubs progressively have realized how damaging leaks are, even though they were huge in FPL at one point in time. So I think that's the tricky piece to it. Interesting. Let's see. View on Malin. I feel like he's going to play somewhere like 60, 65 minutes. You don't really know, to be honest. Because I think they've got a midweek match as well. So it's like, I can't really see this as some sort of game where they're just going to dunk like Malin on for like 90 minutes and then like he's going to play Make Me Mod Razzle. Are you gonna appear on every stream? Why most of manners don't pick Barnes? Well, I mean, it's Everton away is a pretty poor game. Jack attack. Sorry, did I miss a message from someone? Yeah, FPL is definitely not my main job. Bowen or Wilson on the free hit. How do you make sure? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, sorry, I just saw the point. I just wanted to touch on it because I thought it was quite interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, well, it's not my main job. It's frustrating, but I feel like you can always normalize in the sense that you don't really control football players. You're not a manager. You try to make the best decision before, and then, hindsight's going to take it all over. Like, I've played enough to know that I don't really like I can always have a 50-50 dilemma each week, and it can just go drastically in a different way, and I feel comfortable knowing that if I said it was a 50-50 in my head, then I'm comfortable with whatever the outcome is. Like, I think you just have to be comfortable with your process so that when, let's say, the bad results happen and you get upset about it, that next week it doesn't really impact how you feel about it. Apparently I've also missed something that Trini said too. It basically, I mean, just go triple Villa defense, my friend. Like, why not? I mean, it's not even a review thing. It's just minutes, right? Like, I don't know. If you adjust your minutes, there's no way you get Bruno, I think. Semenyo fit to play. I mean, I can't answer Semenyo fit to play. I'm not Iraola, right? I feel like Semenyo's gonna play. Collins versus VDB will come down the wire. VDB is actually minus 3.5 on his career for finishing. He's got, I think, 5.5 goals, like 8.5 XG. So he's just pretty bad at it. Why are you spamming in chat, my friend? Please, can you not do that? All right, who's actually interested in being a moderator every week? Will males start? You mean Malin? I think males will start, if that's your question. As far as Malin, I think he'll start too. I'll make you a moderator, Trini. It's time to get to work. I'll put Razzle as well. Virgil or Munoz on the free hit. I probably would just go Munoz just to back the home team. Patetix, Tavernier, or Sarix, Welbeck, or Foden. I'd probably go kind of like Foden, Welbeck. I think with regards to playing friends leagues, you just kind of need to think that, like, at the end of the season, that's the only time you'll actually care, like where your rank amongst your friends will matter. Like, you can't make decisions thinking about what your friend's going to do or whatever, because it really has no consequence on your own team until close to the end. Because I think people have a bit of a difficulty visualizing like how many points can change or move hands, and how many ranks can sort of swap. So, like, trying to obsess over like who's first, who's second in a mini league is kind of pointless. Any lineup leaks for City? Yeah, if somebody can send me a City lineup leak, that would be ideal. Draft is much. Oh, draft is great for mini leagues. Absolutely. I mean, in draft you actually kind of have to look at your opponent sometimes. Yeah, I don't really mind Munoz on the free hit. Check out Let's Talk FPL team symmetry. He's got the same team. I thought he said he was going to go Bruno. Oh, well. I mean, I've been on this team the whole week. I don't really care. My bad, Fran. Sorry for spamming the chat. Yeah, I just rolled the transfer. I think Enzo's actually a pretty good roll. Play 4 at the back instead of 5th mid. People aren't sure on. Yeah, I guess you could. Like, if you wanted to go what, like triple Villa? You could do that. What do you think of Eze over Gakpo? For this week, I'm not so interested in it. Munoz for cash. But why does diversifying further actually make it a better team? The more you diversify, the more you kind of lower the ceiling on paper. I mean, if Cunha and Sesko are the players who are going to stop Munoz from scoring, I think that's a bigger problem, right? I think Munoz had a pretty big haul versus United last season too. Just saying. Your team is Raya, Dubravka, Diakite, Virgil van Dijk, Lacroix, Tosin, Goodmanson. 2 free transfers. I mean, you probably need to get rid of Tosin because he's not playing football for Chelsea, I think, in most Premier League matches. And maybe you could consider getting rid of Mateta as well, just to kind of give you some money. Or actually, no, sorry, João Pedro for sure. I'd go João Pedro to Thiago and then take Tosin out of the team. Probably bring in a nice defender like Munoz, someone like that. Could work quite well. Because I feel like the midfield's actually pretty strong. Doesn't Munoz have higher ceiling than Cash? Like individually as a player, sure. But then I guess in terms of like how you're betting on outcomes for multiple teams, probably not. KDH for Salah. Oh man, the week that I actually get a KDH haul from KDH will be great. You know, but I might not make it. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say yes to that though. Gakpo for Sobo. I'd say Gakpo for free hit, Sobo as a transfer. Yeah, please do lock your teams. Let me check if I'm on a free hit still. Yeah, I am. Okay, great. 13 minutes to go, my friends. Been a bit of a struggle, to be honest. Like, honestly, I've had like a cold or an illness or an ear infection like every other week, and I've had an ear infection again this week alongside a cold. So, been fun this month, but you know, hopefully it's over soon. Reinders Pinot. Very interesting. I'm so lost. Like Reinders to Pinot? I would just probably start Reinders, right? You meant Munoz is great because United have a lower chance to score. Oh, I see what you mean. Munoz attack potential is always a nice plus. Ah, right, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, but I guess like if you're more insistent on, let's say, I don't know, let's say a Palace clean, I probably actually almost even angle a Defcon defender this week, right? Munoz is nice, but it's like I'm not really shopping for a United, you know, stinker, if that makes sense. Like I think there are more stinkers that I can bank on, right? Like a Burnley or a Wolves. What team do I support? Real Madrid. Thank you, Arne. Sounds opportunistic. Are you immunodeficient? I don't think so. I feel like I've just been unlucky in the sense that my immune system has probably just been weak this month. Like I don't know. I mean, I'll probably have to. Like I don't usually have colds this often or infections. It's just probably just bad luck. But we'll see. Maybe I'll have to think about that. Probability of Malin starting. I think it's very high, personally. You're waiting for this Guardiola bench gimmick. He's not getting benched. Not after getting benched for Leverkusen. He's not getting benched. Thank you, Dream Brother. Kind of want to go against Gakpo. Like, is Minte that interesting versus Forest away? I don't really see it. By the way, honestly, so many of you guys here. Thank you guys so much for watching the free hit kind of stream. Please feel free to like and subscribe. That really does help the channel. And I grew up in Hong Kong. I'm half Hong Kong or half Spanish. Have you liked the DEFCON edition? I actually like it personally. I mean, I'm not someone who's like, you know, oh my god, this is changing the game completely. It changes how I feel about, you know what I mean, like how I feel about watching Premier League games. Like, you know, I still watch football as in like I just want people to score goals and assists, and obviously if they get defensive contributions, that's great, you know, because it's like like I don't control someone getting defensive contributions on the pitch. So I'm not like wishing Virgil van Dijk like leaps over like a salmon to get a clearance or something like that, or you know, some sort of clearance, or I mean not clearance, sorry, but like, I don't know, interception or whatever. It's more like I pick players to get DEFCON, so it's like, okay, in that final minute of the game, if someone's like one off DEFCON, it does make it quite fun personally, like celebrating some guy just whacking the ball into Rose Ed, because I wouldn't have watched it for any other reason anyways. Yeah, Hong Kong's great, to be honest. I do miss it. My family's still there, but I live with my wife in London now, so we'll be going back for December though, which will be fun. I'll make content pretty rough. Hey, Doctor, how are you? Nice to see you around, my friend. Are you, so I remember, Doctor, I was telling you to triple captain, right? I hope you saw my comment. X-Hero Kids, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, Fran, love your content. Keep it up. Well, was wondering why Salah when he's not in form, and why Foden over Doku? I think this is kind of like a case of, is there enough alternative picks that kind of make up for it, right? So for example, like if I was looking at the market implied odds this week, so like let's look at Rob, like a lot of it, this is sort of resting on historical results. Now obviously Salah stinks, but it's like there's always a point to us in terms of managers of saying, at what point in time does Salah stop stinking, or like is he still capable of getting a goal or an assist? And I think my answer would be yes, right? So for example, when you look at some of the top expected points players per the market this week, like Salah's still second. So it's like the way that Salah would have to fall down the pecking order for me would be like if he suddenly dropped down to, I don't know, like let's say being much less interesting from a sort of, I don't know, like let's say more like midfielder's perspective. Like if I had to chart him against the mids this week, how far would he have to fall? And the same thing with Foden too, right? Because you've got models like Hub, for example, which you can use the link in the description below, but and other models too that probably have higher expectations of someone like Salah, but then the markets are probably you'd say a little bit more reactive to, let's say, recent results in form or lack of form. So if the markets for me are still pretty high on Salah, as you know, he's going to have this sort of expectation of like goals and assists, and my question is, how much does Salah and Foden have to undershoot that for me to not go there? That's kind of what I'm doing with. And the thing about form as well is, honestly, like when can you actually, if you're actually positively comfortable that you can actually, I don't know, see how form works, you almost need to anticipate form, right? Because form works in a hindsight way where it's like you see someone doing well, then you're saying they're in form, but you've already missed it technically, right? If you're saying someone's in form. So it's like, what game are you playing, I guess, in terms of FPL? Are you playing a game where you're reacting to someone doing well and then picking them? Or are you actually seeing maybe, let's say, the basis for someone to do well and then they do well and it lines up? Or is it a bit of both sometimes? Because that for me is always the question with form. It's like, if you think that it's always form over fixtures or something like that, then surely every time you're just going to pick, you know, whoever's doing well recently, which I don't think has ever worked out well for many managers. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of what's driving me to, for me, Foden versus Doku, I think is also a bit of an emotional choice too. I think like Foden is still shooting in matches, right? He's still taken shots recently. Like, so I kind of like Foden from that perspective too. It's not like he's taking 0 shots per game. I think in most of his seasons, he averages somewhere like 2.5 to 3 shots per game. He's on set pieces now, which I think is a bit of a plus compared to usual. So yeah, if I think Foden's the positive finisher that he is, I still think it's a good bet to go on Foden this week, even though Doku's obviously like brilliant and breaking out. So what do you think? When Salah leads for AFCON, yeah. I mean, we'd have to see how Liverpool do, right? Another thing too, like when you look at a team like United, when Ahmad and Mbeumo leave for AFCON, I think that team's going to look like absolute dog water. With Liverpool, it'll be an interesting question, right? Because some people think that, you know, Salah's lack of press or whatever is sometimes like, you know, what's holding the team back, but it's not like Isak presses like a mad dog. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see like Chiesa, Frimpong, if they do well. Yeah, Foden's a bit of a league farmer as well, if I'm being honest. Like, he does tend to farm these games. That's very anecdotal information, but yeah. I think it'll be interesting to shop other players in the Liverpool squad, regardless, right? Because they're so much cheaper. So like, it's not going to be a huge risk if you're suddenly, I don't know, if Case is playing games or Frimpong's playing games, to invest into them versus a 14 million Salah every week. Dr. Izan, thank you so much for the super chat. Sell Waltemad or I would sell Waltemad personally because I feel like Mateta still has a good fixture next week, and then you can still probably go Mateta out in the future. You're thinking to take a hit to sell Virgil for Timber. I wouldn't do it this week, my friend. Honestly, Virgil and Sar I think are slightly better than Timber and Eze this week. That's my personal opinion. At least, when you add in the -4. Do you have plans to get Palmer in with 5 frees? I think so, yeah. I think so. You just have to be open to going Foden. Why Gakpo over Watkins? I can't even guarantee Gakpo's minutes. I would go Sar and Welbeck on the wild card personally, I think. Good luck on your game week as well, like Xero Kids. Thank you so much for sending the super chats over. Bench 1, Timber, Richards, Krupi. I'd probably bench Krupi. Why Collins over Vandenberg? Just because I can afford it. And he's slightly better in DEFCONs. I can't guarantee Watkins' minutes. Yeah, they're not good enough. Did I say someone else? I must have said, someone else's minutes. Maybe I said Gakpo. I think Gakpo starts. I can't really see why Gakpo wouldn't start. I think it'd kind of be trolling. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's my bad. Just hit the free hit. Good luck, Yella. Free at 13, Azir Semenyo. I mean, I don't really love either, if I can be honest. Because Semenyo has some doubts, right? I'd probably say get Semenyo. Yeah, I misspoke. Sorry, guys. Thiago Waltemad. Thiago for sure. Wait, why is that even a question? Start 1. Sar, Bruno, Fernandes, and Jai. I'd say Bruno still. Is Sar a good pick on free hit? Yeah, I think Sar's pretty good. Like, if you don't like Rogers, go for it. Malin over Rogers makes sense too, but you have to kind of have confidence that he's going to have really good minutes. Ziad, thanks so much for joining as a captain. 13-15 Trini. I guess you're going the Bruno path, right? Clever. From now, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, Fran, Kelleher and Gakpo or Collins and Emmy. Bro, I think I'd go Kelleher and Gakpo. Good luck all. Start Anderson or Timber. Have Ryan goal. I think I'd go Timber because you already have Ryan goal. It's better to back a double defense than a one. Why Collins? It's not a big deal, my friend. You can go Vandenberg. I'm not here to say that Collins is a genius pick. I can afford Collins, so that's why I'm going Collins. That's pretty much it. Salah no vice. Yeah, I can't respect Salah that much, You've upgraded membership. Thank you so much, Ziad. Really appreciate that. Sar Gakpo. Do you have any? I'd go Gakpo personally, just because the fixture, right? West Ham away is still to me much better. Gakpo's data is really good. Yeah, he's held it up. He's held it up as well. Like even in the PSV game, he kind of had a sitter in the sense that like when he leapt in the air. My God, can I get a word out of my mouth? Yeah, he had a huge chance, but they did lose 1-4. But I just think, I tend to think, okay, if the XG is still solid, I have faith in a team. If the XG is falling off, I don't have a faith or the same faith in a team. Gakpo over Bruno, I think can be considered. If you can afford Bruno, I personally would maybe just go Bruno. But, I kind of like also double Liverpool offense. Like, I think it helps. The idea of the pun, at least. Reinders, I probably would still pick Doku. Just the bench is different, Trini? Yeah, okay, come on, bro. Fair. Sar, Mateta, or Watkins on free hit. Probably Sar, because I feel like the minutes are great. How to join the private Discord. I think if you look at the old membership posts, you will be able to see it. But let me think about this, because I think I need to fix I think I can fix the membership options to actually make it like automatically linked to the Discord server. So let me try and do that. But you can also click on the private. If you click on the Discord link and then you just sort of DM me on Discord as well. Like if you're joined in the Discord channel, you can just ping me and I can upgrade your membership on the Discord channel, and then you'll have access to the private server. 2 minutes in, time to make some panic calls. Guys, please make your calls now. There's literally less than a minute. Would you take a -8 to remove Pope over Dubravka? You mean if it's a -4, sure. If it's a -8, no, I wouldn't do that. Start 1, Yeremy, Timber, Senesi. Don't do it for a -8. Don't do it for a -8. I don't think that's worth it. For a -4, sure. Start 1, Yeremy, Timber, Senesi. Yeremy for sure. Nunes, O'Reilly for sure. All right, guys. I'm not answering questions. You guys need to make moves fast. Okay, what is actually what's the first game that's coming up? Okay, so I need to watch a double stream of Oh, okay. Brentford and City, yeah, on the stream. All right, that will be fun. Oh, but I don't have Dango though. What do I think? Oh, I don't have Dango. Mm, mm. I think it's too late. I can't do it. I think I would have considered this, right? This is the only alternative that I would have done. But yeah, it's already the deadline. Yeah, I just don't think I would have done it. Mainly because I feel like the minutes can always troll you with Dean or even Dango to an extent. You have a weird question. Does Canal Plus also look bad quality? I mean, I don't use Canal Plus because I'm not based in Spain, but I don't know. Oh, it's French, isn't it? Huh, I don't know. Cool. Well, I think that's it for the stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, it's everywhere. Like, it's like a European service provider, is it? I mean, we don't have Canal Plus in the UK. But I was actually thinking like it could maybe be in France, right? Um, like it is a French product. Yeah, you can't watch Canal Plus in the UK due to geo blocking. Um, can't say where I watch my streams. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Good luck to everyone. On the free hit, not on the free hit, on triple captain, etc. Best of luck, and I'll see you guys soon. Start Sar Enzo. Sorry, Doctor, I would have gone Sar for sure. But that you must have answered too late, right? Asked too late. The change accept. I mean, I didn't press accept. Because I'm obviously I deliberated between that sort of path, but couldn't do it. Let me try and fix the Discord sort of membership thing too, and I'm gonna see if I can actually keep. What I still don't understand as well is like, where is the feature to kind of like give fans like free engage my audience? I still think I can't give the membership gifting, right? Or actually, I could do that now. All right, let's just send that out. 5 free memberships. Hopefully given to 5 people who actually watch the content. Oh, Human definitely is. Big Bio, Clyde Bickford, Rob P, congratulations. El Mimo as well. Hit me baby one more time. Let me see. I'm just gonna quickly try and fix the channel membership thing with Discord. I need to like figure out how to like add the special features back in. Hmm. There should be a Discord feature. I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, I'll need to sort that out because it's like I need to find some sort of automatic sync on Discord. But we'll see how that goes. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Wait, did we get? Okay, we got gifted membership. That's good. Who do you cheer for FPL if it's not secret? I mean, there's no secret. I just don't support any other Premier League teams, to be honest. Thanks to you as well, El Mimo, for joining the stream. Please feel free to subscribe, guys, and like the video. It really does help support the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I mean, like, I'm based in the UK, but I actually just generally like watching football. And obviously, because like, I support another team anyways, it's like, I don't know, the emotional part of football is still there, which is supporting Real Madrid. I don't feel like I need to be like backing one team or another in the Premier League. Why are people going Danso? Because I guess he's a good def corner, right? Like, he's actually really good at that. And then actually the clean sheet odds for Tottenham are quite good. Did people actually end up going Tottenham defense in the end? Option to visit matches? That's true. I mean, I've watched matches, but then like even when I watch matches, like usually there's like an FPL outcome that I can back, so it kind of helps. I might do the transfer plans today because obviously, like, you know, midweek football and all that kind of stuff. Probably just need to get a video out. So yeah, take care, guys.